So your first assignment with the analysis of art is we're not going to go really deeply into it, but we're going to look at some of the things that you might look at. Okay, one of them is focus. Yesterday, when we looked at that image of the Mayan, from the Mayan ruins, it was considered, we looked at what there was focus on. So the artist does that as a way of communicating to you what is important. So let me use an example here. What you're going to do is you're going to, I've put a lot of art books over there on the cart, and you can get your image from an art book, or you can get it from a different source. But you're going to find something where there's a particular focus, and you can clearly see it. Now, so you want to find a piece that makes sense. Can you see this on the screen? I can see it on my computer. It's a little dark, but that's okay. All right, so what would we say would be the focus here? What's the focus? Tell your partner. Okay. So, what did you say? Yes.
The person in the middle.
The person in the middle, and how did the artist create the focus on that person?
It's bigger.
It's bigger, okay? So, and it's also in the middle, okay? So when you make things in the middle and you make them bigger, the focus is on it. What's this up here? Anybody notice this?
It's a boat.
It's a boat. All right. So there's a boat. What does a ship have to do? This looks very kind of what we think of as African down here, and then what's with the boat?
It's a pirate ship.
Actually, it's from the Portuguese, because the Portuguese came to this country and in Nigeria, and that's the thing there. We're not going to get into this, but this is used in African religions. This is an altarpiece, so to speak, because they see their ancestors as, they pray to their ancestors. They feel like their ancestors have power, that they can help them. So this would have been a chief. One of the things is it very realistic? No. All right, and there's a reason for that. Is it because they don't know how to draw? No. Okay, it's because they think that these are spiritual people, so they don't want them to look like humans, because humans are not as spiritual. So I'm going into a little depth, but this would be one, for example, that you could use for focus. So when you find that, now this is one where you don't always know who the artist is, but these are ones that, this is from the art history book. What you're going to do is look. I'm trying to do two things at once. Let me do it this way. This will be easier. You're going to look at the caption down here. It's an ancestral screen. So the title would be ancestral. So you need to find an example. If the artist's name is not there, you could put unknown. But what we do know is where it came from and what culture it's from. And if you read down here a little bit, it's a Kalabari from Nigeria. So that's the name of the culture, the Kalabari, Kalabari from Nigeria. Date created, late 19th century, so we don't have the exact date. All right. Medium, wood, fiber, and cloth. That medium means what is it made of? Oops, down here. I skipped size. Wood, fiber, and cloth. You probably can't see this. Yeah, you can see. Oh, you can see it better here than you can. Okay. Size, it's important to know what size it is. It's 3 feet, and you can round it off. I just go 9 inches. 3 feet, 9 inches. Where is the focus? All right, well, clearly this is the focus. So what I'm going to do for this one, after you get all this information down for these different things, you are going to find them on the internet. You're going to Google them, and you're going to print them out in a size that is the right size. And I think maybe I'll show you that tomorrow. So you can work on this today, getting your pieces, but because the printers aren't connected to the color screen, we're not going to do that. You could still find your images and save them, and we could print them out tomorrow. But so then the next part of the assignment is to zoom in a little bit. Come up with 2 pieces. Yesterday we talked about mood a lot. So different art has different moods. So you need to find 2 different examples of different kinds of moods. So, like I said, I wish I had these bookmarked. I would save myself. Here's one. I don't know if you can see it. Okay, here's one that clearly has a specific kind of mood, right? So I could, here is the caption right here. And I know you can't read that very well, but the title is Abbey in the Oak Forest. Now, why is it important to look at the title? Does anybody know what an abbey is? What? The word abbey? You know what a monastery is? Anybody? Monastery, do you know what a monk is?
Yeah.
Okay, so an abbey is generally, anybody seen The Sound of Music? Okay, there's an abbey in The Sound of Music. That's where the nuns live. All right, so it can tell you some things about the artwork if you see it. Okay, Casper, this is the artist. So the date that it's created can tell you something about the artwork, because if you know anything about the history, then you can get a feeling for why did this artist make this kind of image. Date created is 1810. Size is 3 feet 7 inches by 5 feet 7 inches. You don't have to do the fractions, I don't care. Medium is oil on canvas. What did they use to make the image? And then you're going to come up with 3 description words to describe the mood. I don't know if you can see it well enough. So those could be words from here, or if you have words of your own. This is a very limited list. But if you have words, can you say anything that you think would work here?
Dark.
Dark would be good. All right, dark.
Desolate.
Desolate, good word. Desolate. What else? Do we have any others here?
Gloomy.
Pardon?
Gloomy.
Gloomy? Good. Excellent. Oh, and one thing I forgot. The book and the page number, in case you want to refer back to it, 794. And this is, you can just call this the blue book if you want to. It's Art Through the Ages. This is the art history book. This is the textbook that we use. Century, and I already forgot to put that there. So page, put that there. Okay, then I want you to find one with kind of a different kind of mood. Okay, I don't want 2 of the same moods. So what you're going to find is 2 artworks with different moods. Okay, the next one is something that is very realistic. Okay, so some artwork has the appearance of realism, some does not. So here's one where it's realistic and yet it's not realistic. Does anybody know what this is called?
It's familiar.
Huh?
It's familiar.
Yeah,
I know it's Dali.
it's Dali, and it's called surrealism because when surrealism they make things like melting clocks and stuff that are not in our real world, but they make them look real. So it's realistically drawn, but it's not real. So something that would be realistic. Check close. I think you guys know what realistic looks like, so I'm going to skip that one. And then something that's very abstract, not realistic. So here would be an example here. This is called the name of this one is funny. I have a funny story to tell about this too. One of my colleagues was teaching, and she sent a list home of the images that they would be studying in their art class. And this one is called Nude Descending a Staircase. And a mother showed up in the morning and said, I do not want my child seeing nude bodies. And so she showed her this image, and so she said, oh. So anyway, so you go ahead and fill that in. You guys are getting the idea, right? Okay. The last thing I want you to do is come up with three. There's a lot of functions or reasons why art is made. So I want you to come up with three different functions, different pieces. So look at the list right here. Function of art. Got as close as I can. All right, these are not all the functions, but these cover a lot. One of them is to tell a story, a narrative. So sometimes it'll just be to tell a story. Comic art would be a narrative, right? A historical event, sometimes to illustrate a historical event. A lot of religious. Every religion has a religious function, and the ancestral screen I showed you could also serve as a religious, could fit in that category as well. But I want you to pick different ones. To show political power or promoting a political view, and we saw some of those yesterday. Visual pleasure or beauty. Sometimes it's just to be beautiful. Sometimes it's about fantasy or a dream. So the Dali I just showed you would fit into that category. Surrealism became important when psychology is kind of a new form of a new discipline. There's not always been psychology. It's only been around for a little over 100 years. So when Freud, some of you might have heard of Freud, very famous, when he came along, artists were interested in what psychologists were thinking and discovering, so a lot of the artwork became about psychology, became about not the things that we can see and touch, but the things that we imagine. Think about your dreams. Are dreams real? Yes, they are and they aren't, okay? Everyone has dreams, so they are real. And so artists said, why don't we show our dreams? Why does it have to be something we see? Why is that real? So there's just all kinds of reasons why people make art. To remember or commemorate someone, that would be like a portrait, or it could be a monument. And then sometimes art is just about an element or elements of art. This particular one happens to be, and that's what modern art is. What the artist is interested in doing here is showing movement. And so that's one of the principles of art we're going to study. Or sometimes it's a metaphor for an idea, concept, or a belief. So you get a lot of that in children's books, right? When you read children's books, it's about a hippopotamus or a kangaroo or a monkey. Think about Curious George. Anybody watch Curious George? Okay, so my daughter had a student. She works with elementary students, and he was from France, I think, and he started talking like Curious George, which caused some problems, but the children thought it was hilarious. So anyway, she had a hard time getting him to stop talking like Curious George. So what I want you to do is find examples for each one of those categories. Write it down. Here's the procedure. And then what you're going to do, and this is, like I said, this isn't a long assignment, but I think why I'm giving you this assignment is I want you to understand that art is not just to make a picture to hang in the hallway or put in your room or something like that. And so what you're going to do, I did this for the first time last quarter. So what you're going to do, you're going to print out these pictures. I would probably print them a little bit bigger than these so you can see them. And then you're going to label them and do what it says to do. So for these three, what you have to tell is what's the function. So you're going to have three where you tell what the functions are. You're going to have one that is very abstract, and that's all you have to do. You're going to have to get this information for all of them, but then you're going to put very abstract. The other thing I want you to know about when you do your book is numbering. It is very important that you number your assignment, so I know what it is. So, for example, 2A, well, here it says, underlined words need to be on your page in your journals. So when you do focus, I also want you to put 2A. Otherwise, I have a hard time grading. So then when I get to your packet, may I? Thank you. When I go to look at assignment number 2, analysis, I can look in your book and I'm going to look for 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D. This is a long assignment. 2E, 2F, 2G, 2H. Okay? Now, I will show you one more thing. If some of you choose to work on this at home, when you get an image, so, and then I'll talk more about computers tomorrow. Like I said, our printers aren't up, but when you get an image, when you go online, this is something to pay attention to. All right, so I'm gonna Google the Abbey in the Oak Forest. Last quarter, I did this for the first time, and we had students just look for work online, and it just didn't work very well. So I want you to start with an art book. Abbey in the Oak Forest. Now, if you want to do something that's not in the book, you can talk to me about it. If you want to do something that's out there, like a particular comic artist or a graffiti or something, or anime or something, I may be okay with that. Now, you get all of these images. Which one do you choose? You know when you choose something sometimes and it gets all pixelated? Okay, that is something you need to watch for. So, when you put your pointer on here and it says 763 by 489, and I guess I should stop recording because this person can't. Maybe they can see this. I don't know if this is recording or not. That tells you the size of the image. Let's see if we go to more sizes, if we can. Sometimes you just get the one. Okay, so there's all of these sizes here. This is 1,000 by 6. This is going to have the most number of dots. So this is going to print with the highest resolution. You probably don't need something that big. I would say, though, try and get over 300. Once you get down to the lower numbers, the chances is that it's not going to be, you might end up with a real pixelated image. And then know what size your book is so that you can make the image the size you want it. So what you're going to do, I don't know if this is recording, we'll find out later, is drag it, probably not. You can drag it to your desktop, and then I think for sizing, the easiest thing to do is open Word, and drag it onto Word so you can size it. There are other ways to do it, but and our docs down here for the applications are hidden. So you just take your pointer down there and they show up. That gives you more space. And drag it onto there. Now I know that this is how wide. One inch, 2 inch, 3 inches, 4 inches. This is 4 inches wide, and it's about 2 inches, 3 inches. Which for your books, if you're, depending on the size of your book, this is probably 6 inches. So you can kind of make it so it fits in your book. I would probably do 1 image per page. Okay? So you'll use a lot of pages for this assignment. Questions. So what should you be doing today?